Hey, what's going on YouTube? See the Majesty here with deck profile. Today we have a deck profile over my main deck. I just refuse to upgrade to those other decks. I mean, I have some interest in some of the newer decks, but you know, this is the only deck for me. I just don't want to spend any more money. While this deck just can still compete, believe it or not. And I've been testing against a lot of decks. I played against Pale Moon, played against Shadow Revengers. Shadow Paladins, the Revengers build, Link Joker, Narukame, Aqua Force. That's a hard matchup actually. And then you know, I beat them all. You know, with no problem. You know, you have to play this deck really well. You have to play around limit breaks a lot. You have to put so much pressure on your opponent. So you have to be really careful with this deck though. But this is the way I play anyways. I play a lot of combo based decks, and I really focus on consistency in my decks, because I play so many combo based decks and I hate losing to inconsistencies rather than having just luck sack in the deck. And that's what a lot of people with MLB just focus on, is just the luck factor of this deck, because they just believe that this deck can't compete. And I've had people just come up to me, you know, I'm sorry, is that MLB? And I was like, yeah, it's MLB. And I said, I'm sorry, but that deck sucks. I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, who says that? Well, anyways, I shut them up, shut everyone up, because I just slaughter people when I get crowds just watching this deck. And this deck is decent. It's a decent deck. So I do have problems with some other decks, but you know, I just don't lose very often. So I thought, you know, maybe I should help out other people and show them what my MLB can do. So this is the starter, Wingal Brave, obligatory. You know, you gotta play him. You know, he gets your deck going a lot faster, but you know, I base my deck around that you don't have to rely on him so much, and a lot of people just rely on him a ridiculous amount, and they lose as soon as he's gone. And I'm trying not to lose because of that. So let's start off with the grade 3s. I start off with 4 Majesty Lord Blasters. It doesn't make sense to run 3 because you're just trying. He's the main boss, and you just want to get to him as fast as possible without the use of Wingal Brave. And I don't want to be like, I'm gonna ride Palamedes first because I don't have Majesty Lord Blaster in my hand. You know, that's the worst way. You basically lose Majesty Lord. You basically lose a turn, and then you lose a Palamedes, which is a really good rear guard. So I didn't want to lose like that. So 4 Majesty Lord Blaster is the way to go. I've been getting the effect off consistently, and there were some times where I was like, you know, I kind of wish the 4th Majesty. I already had Majesty Lord Blaster in my hand, and I get like 2 other ones, and then I'm like, wow, I kind of wish I had Palamedes. But at the same time, I can make use of the Majesty Lord Blaster in my hand, and it didn't really matter too much. But I just rather have the MLB with the effect as soon as possible, because I don't want to use Wingal Brave's effect just to search out this guy. You know, you gotta have the combo pieces in hand for, you know, to activate Wingal Brave's effect. So that's what I prefer to do. Doesn't make sense to activate effects when you don't have all the components, or close to all the components in your hand. So 2 Palamedes is really good. I think 2 is good enough. I kind of wanted to replace Gancelot for Palamedes, but I don't want to buy another Palamedes. But this is good enough because you just search for another Blaster Blade, and then there were so many moments where I just wanted a Blaster Blade rather than, you know, a 3rd Palamedes. Or I could have replaced this for an Alfred, but Alfred was just dead because you keep on putting the rear guards into the soul, and then the 3, you kind of blasting 3. It just never really happened too much until like late game. And even then, you know, it just wasn't good. So I didn't like it. I prefer Gancelot. It's really good. So onto the grade 2s. You have 4 Blaster Blade. Pretty self-explanatory, really good card. 4 Blaster Darks. Now a lot of people don't agree with this because they say, you know, Blaster Dark's dead, he's just a 9K. But at the same time, you're just trying to put these into the soul as fast as possible. You want the Blaster name for your Wingal Brave, and then that's what you want to do, is just put these into the soul as fast as possible, activate Wingal Braves as fast as possible. So you don't have to rely on this guy, but you could easily use this guy as fast as possible so they don't retire it, lock it, or whatever. And it's been really good. I'm pretty sure if I'd had 3, like everyone says, I would have lost a lot, and that's probably why people put down this deck. It's just they're running 3, and it's just not a consistent deck, you know. And then you have this guy for consistency. So this is 7 grade 3s, so I put in another grade 2, and I preferred to have, as opposed to having like the 8th card as Alfred, I just preferred that it would be a blaster at that time, because every time I had Alfred in my hand, it was just dead, and I needed to activate Wingal Brave's ability at that one time. So, or I just needed the grade 2 at that one time, and this just fit the spot because he is a Royal Paladin. He is a blaster, so he gets his effect off of Wingal Brave, so that's why I really like him. I was thinking of doing 2 Blaster Blade Spirits and 2 Stardust Trumpeters, because I noticed that the times I did lose or came close to losing was because I had too many of these, and I needed to get one of these guys out like as fast as possible. So it was really close, so I don't really know what the best number is, so I'm just gonna keep on playing like this until I can get another Starcall Trumpeter, but I'll probably be switching in and out for the, you know, with 2 Blaster Blade Spirits and 2 Starcall Trumpeters. The Starcall Trumpeter is putting in some work. Sometimes I just call out this guy because he's a 10K and he can guard for next jam. He's a +1 for no reason, so he's ridiculous. So on to the grade 1s. We have 4 Marron. Doesn't make sense to run any less because it's 8K, pushes for big numbers, makes this 18, makes that 21. You know, that those things 18. So it pushes for big numbers, so it doesn't make sense to run any less. So for a Knight of Friendship K, I just believe this is the best card. I don't believe like Lien is any good because you do have to rest it in order to activate its effect. You draw a card you don't want, and it's just not a consistent card. It's just based on luck, and I'm not trying to base my deck on that. And you know, Lien is really nice, but I prefer this one to push in for more damage. He does hit for 10K. He can hit magic numbers if you boost with the Marron behind him. So he's consistent, you know. He's not a dead card. Like everything you're gonna ride, it's a blaster. Like almost everything. You know, I don't ride Palamedes or Gancelot at all, and because I never have to. And you know, that's one of the things I was kind of scared of. If I ran the Starcall Trumpeter, like I had to ride it, and then like don't have any, you know, counterblast, anything to counterblast or something like that. So this has been working really good. 4 perfect guards, self-explanatory, really good. And then 2 Toypugal. This is another thing. A lot of people are running like 3 or 4, and I just don't think this card is consistent. It's not a consistent card because you do have to have, you know, some grade 3s on board, and you're only running like basically 6 in this build. So I'm cut it down to 2. You know, if you run 3 or 4, even if you do have 8 grade 3s, it's not gonna be in your best interest because you're not always gonna have those grade 3s, and it's not gonna be consistent build because this is another combo based card. You have to have 2 grade 3s basically on the board. So you know, I'm basing my deck on consistency. So but he's really good compared to other grade 1s. I guess I could use Lian, but this makes Blaster Blade and Blaster Dart up to 18. So it pushes for a magic number. So that's really important. And I do that a lot, actually. You know, it's pretty good. It's never let me down at 2. 3, it was just kind of, you know, it would be consistent at 6K. I don't know why. But here's the trigger lineup. I tried 5 draw and 7 crit, but 8 crit is the way to go. It's perfect. There's not a flaw with this. This is the best build. I consistently went with the 8. I did have the 5 draw, so, and it was nice, but I kept losing because I prolonged my victory with it, if that makes sense. Because I drew the card, and then I wouldn't push for a game, and it just, man, I just needed it to be a crit at that point. So 8 crit, just the best way to go. 4 heal, 4 draw. So that's the deck. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. And yeah, that's the deck profile. See you later on YouTube.